The presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party, PRP, Kola Abiola, will be our guest on Invicta FM's flagship program, Perspectives. During the program, Kola Abiola is expected to talk on the PRP manifesto and his campaign blueprint for the country as he sets out to roll out his campaign across Nigeria. As usual, during the program, our teaming listeners can call in our dedicated live studio numbers to ask questions on the state of the nation and areas they wish to be addressed. Date this Sunday, 16th October 2022. Time 12:30 p.m. Your regular host is Toyin Alabi. Stay tuned to Invicta FM 98.9. Your ideal democratic station. Always stay victorious.
Whether it's hip-hop or R&B, we got you.
I keep on winning. I never lose.
Oh, you wanna skank it up on some reggae vibration?
You on the vibe like this, reggae music again.
Or better so we can bring it back home and shake up the spot with some Nigerian flavor. As long as it's good and intelligent music.
98.9 FM keeps the hit spin.
Back to back.
Good afternoon and welcome to the program Perspectives. It's a special edition of the program as we're having it on a Sunday afternoon like this. My guest on the program, as you've heard and earlier advertised, is Kola Abiola. Kola Abiola is the presidential flag bearer of the People's Redemption Party. And he is my guest this afternoon, and we'll be talking about the party, how he got there, and what, PRP as a party has for our teaming Nigerians as we have it today. Kola Abiola, good afternoon and welcome to this program.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for having me.
Right, yes, it was a journey that you went through to become the flag bearer of the party. And congratulations, as we would say, to start with. But again, PRP as a party and your choice of this political party, what informed your choice of having, of coming, to the PRP?
Well, first and foremost is the history of PRP itself. And then secondly is the ideology of the party. The history of the party, its struggles for the common man in Nigeria, its representation of true democracy, which has to do with the people. The power has to come from the people, is owned by the people, and exercised by the people. That rings very well, a lot with my own personal ideology and the ideology of us as a family. Secondly, because of the clean history it has and the clear-cut mission and the consistency of its ideology, I don't see a better party in Nigeria to begin to start a new beginning. And my take is that despite 23, 24 years of democratic rule, what we've had in the past is two parties in one. PDP, APC especially, who have governed since, are basically one party, the same party in one. They keep crisscrossing and there are no changes. And I think Nigeria is at the point where if we don't have some clear semblance of a change, there is absolutely no way we can move forward. And that's why, another reason why I felt that the party to be and the party to join should be PRP. Furthermore, I see myself in this race to govern. Hence, I am going to win the election. And to be able to begin to change and provide the changes that are required, you need a party that is clean, fresh, and untainted. And PRP is that. And if you go by the records of PRP in the earlier years of democracy, in Kano, in Kaduna states, it's envious of an achievement, and that's the kind of footsteps I'd like to walk in and follow through. And now, hopefully, myself, together with my running mate, the vice presidential candidate of PRP, Harold Zigo, can collectively take us to the national stage and begin to make the changes that need to be made, and there's no better place to do it. Also, I'm trying to get a new generation of voters and participation involved in politics. And I only see this party as the party that has clear-cut, a very clear-cut, clean means of doing that. It's the only party that you can register in today for 100 naira and run for office the following day. It's the only party that you don't have any restrictions or any godfathers. It's the only party that a youthful, vibrant, democratic population we have in this country can actually not just go and vote for, but actually participate in the process. I see us, both of us, as that generation that helps usher in the next set of leadership we have in Nigeria. And I see us as being able to provide a clean platform to mentor them into the process of governance, leadership, and politics. And there's no other party, there's no better party to do that than the PRP. If you look at the array of our gubernatorial candidates, 22 of them. If you look at our senators running in this next election, I think if I'm correct, about 45, 46 of them. The number of House of Reps members we have, and so on and so forth. We have a total of 711, 712 candidates in this next election. They're all vibrantly young and with a lot of energy. This is the only party that can give such people the opportunity to. And even if we look at our state excos, it's the same reflection of the young. And we represent that. We hope to take them, use our own little wealth of experience to nurture and provide that change. And the change has to be done in an environment that is not coming with legacy issues, with godfathers, with do not touch areas, and so on and so forth. And I think PRP provides for that. We have 2 House of Rep members today in the House. We have a possible third one after all the court processes go. So let's build more on that and have more and more in the center as much as possible.
Yes. Again, when 2022 elections, presidential elections to come, 2023, it's a remarkable year because that year, 2023, will be 30 years.
Absolutely.
After, the death of Chief Moshood M.K. Abiola, your father. Yeah. The scion of the family of that dynasty, and so you said you wanted to make a mark because 2023 would be like giving it to the memories of your late father, that it will be the PRP. And the question that would come to the minds of most Nigerians would be, what structures do you have on ground, and how far reaching has the party been in saying that it could just take the presidential ticket with a big 2 or 3 as we're having it now? What gives you that, to say that it's going to be about the PRP? And quickly, let me just tell our listeners out there and our audience that we're streaming live with this program on our Facebook page, Invicta 98.9. So, structures and what do you have on ground to convince Nigerians? Because PRP, as it is, would have a history of about 40 years now. And since then, we've not had anything until now that Kola Abiola is moving into the PRP.
Thank you. Let me start from the significance of the next electoral year. It will be exactly 30 years of the annulled June 12th election. I had spent the last years after the annulment trying to get recognition for what is undoubtedly the freest and best run campaign in the country to date. I've spent time doing that. Eventually, 3 years ago, I got Mr. President actually gave us that recognition by awarding a posthumous GCFR to MK Abiola. After that period, it dawned on me that, the next election is going to be exactly 30 years of that election. And I had Mark wake-up call to tell me that, you know what, I owe it to everything I did in 1992-93. To achieving that goal, I owe it to every Nigerian to try to at least get them a semblance of that feat I achieved back then. And when I say I say I deliberately because it's very personal to me. I say it again, in the field today, of the 17, 18 candidates today, there is nobody out there, short of His Excellency Bola Tinubu and His Excellency the Waziri Adamawa Abubakar Atiku, that have the kind of experience and exposure I have in the political space presently. Nobody out there has it. At 28, 29, I ran what is still the best election in Nigeria today, and I delivered on it. Whatever happened subsequently was the will of God. So I think I owe us that much, and I owe it because my kids always tell me, Dad, you guys have failed us. And I tell you, well, we didn't quite fail. You guys don't go out and vote. And they tell me, well, we don't go out and vote because there's nothing to pick from what is out there. I am out there now. I'm out there with a very vibrant vice president. And we are there to give you that alternative. And that population is 71% of our population to date. That population is 52% of our voting registered voter population. We're out there to give you that opportunity to come and make a change in the history of Nigeria. We represent that change. We put ourselves out there to make that change. So that's how and why I'm in this race today. Furthermore, I look at the way things are going, and I'm telling myself, would we allow to recycle the same leadership? I am 60 today. The two other guys are much older than I am. They've been in there, done that, and we know what they've achieved, virtually nothing. Do we allow them to go out there and continue that? Even the so-called younger ones that come under that system have been equally corrupted by the system. So it's not necessarily an age issue. It's a system issue, and how do they fit into that system with their respective ideologies. We come as fresh as they come. We've never been in governance before, myself or the vice presidential candidate. We have our records. People know who we are, what we are, where our backgrounds come from is not questionable. It can be checked anytime, any day. And we are bringing a fresh, clean template to the political space.
Kola Abiola, quickly.
Yes, sir.
Are you running on the goodwill and the memories of how popular your father had been, that you could just come out to say that 2023 is all yours because you represented the PRP as a party?
I hear that a lot, but let me take you back one thing. That election is 29 years ago. If you look at the population and the demographic group from 0 to 38, how many of them were born at that time? How many of them grew up understanding it? I think they were born. How many of them knew that process? Maybe you do, sir, with all due respect, because you were of age. You probably even voted back then, if at all. But the fact of the matter is that the majority of the voter out there, that 53%, were not even born or don't even know of what happened back then. So I'm coming here to earn my keep, first and foremost, to earn my keep. I have worked hard. I have been held my head above water long enough. I am clean enough to go out there and earn my keep, number one. Number two, in the last 29 years, and still going on to date, everybody has claimed June 12th, has claimed MKO, has claimed this, claimed that, as to why they are this and why they are that. Even when they both ran away and escaped from prosecution from the Abacha government. And they still claim June 12th. And they still came fighting for MKO. So what is so wrong in the custodian of the MKO thing to actually use the name? What is so out of beat with that? What is so out of place? I am the rightful custodian. Yes, everybody says I look like MKO, so yes, I do. I don't. And if there's a legacy that I'm proud of, is to have the kind of parents I have, and that's why I can even sit here and stand and you invite me and listen to what I have to say. That I think has come across to the voter also. I've earned my keep. I've done what I should do as a son. I've delivered on making sure that the election was recognized. I've done my bit to make sure that the public vote that voted for MKO hasn't been wasted. I've even got an apology from government for having deprived them of their vote. I've done my bit. So this is about Kola, it's about MKO, and I have no apologies for that. But also, I'm out there to earn my keep and show people that everything I've done to date, I've earned it.
You also think that
I've earned it.
You also think that Nigerians should compensate,
Not a matter of compensation.
Yes,
it's about capacity, sir.
You, through your father.
No, it's about capacity first. It's about
capacity, yes.
Yeah, it's about capacity first. That's why I said I'm going out there to earn my keep. I think I believe, I got into this race believing I could deliver and I have what it takes to make a change for the future of Nigeria. And I have the capacity to do it, mentally, physically, and otherwise. I have the exposure, I have done my homework, I've done things practical as a civilian, as an everyday person. In every nook and cranny of Nigeria, I've earned the right to say I know because I've done it live. I've done it live in Adamawa, Taraba, Kwara, Edo. I've worked in every state in this country. I know the people. I'm home everywhere I go in this country. I can walk the streets without any security in this country, despite the situation. I just drove into your place now without anything. I'm so confident of the fact that I haven't stepped on the wrong toes. And the only wrong toes I will step on are the guys who don't want change in Nigeria. And I'm not afraid of that. I'm going to take it on and make sure I have a covenant with the voter, and I'm going to deliver on that. So it's about capacity first and foremost. That's all it's all about, first and foremost. And I think I have the requisite need, talent, and understanding to make that difference.
Nigeria is 62 years, and we'll still be counting on 62 years of Nigeria and where she is today and where she may have been. Looking at it, you've been around, and what has been wrong with us, as a people, and with leadership, where it could have taken Nigeria today? And what are the things you see that you want to, correct on with your party, the PRP?
I think you said it already, sir. Leadership. It's about leadership. And our party is the reverse. Our policies, our principles are about the people. Leadership should serve those people. The leadership we've had to date has set us on a course that it's time to try something new. It's all about leadership at the end of the day. We started at a very early time in our history where the leadership claimed that we have more money than we know what to do with it. If we had so much money, why are we in this situation today? We've had democratic governance, failed in the first outing, the second outing, third outing now, as a matter of fact. Why are we in the situation where it's all about leadership? And also we have to have a leadership that is jealous about Nigeria, loyal to its people and country. We have to have leadership that is sincere and has a sincerity of purpose for Nigeria. We have to have a leadership that is collectively seen by Nigeria as a Nigerian. That's what I'm all about, and that's what I am. That's what I've always been, and that's what I've been grown up to be. My family, the same. We have a history of that. We were the largest employer in Nigeria. We had offices in every state, irrespective of your race, ethnicity, or religion. It's never been. And not just that. We've been nurturing the youth for as long as I can remember. We set up Concord Press, put everything in there, and got a collection of very young people to just go there and have some fun. And guess what? There's hardly a media house today that doesn't have a veteran of that institution. The same thing we did in telecoms, the same thing we did in soccer, the same thing we did in farming, the same thing we did in aviation, the same thing we did in everything we taught, oil and gas, the same thing. I drilled my first well at 26, 27. I was given a responsibility, and not so long ago, Nigeria was very youth-friendly. We gave young people responsibility, and they had to be accountable for that responsibility. We had presidents that were in their 20s, late 30s, early 30s. We had leadership in the states, the same thing. Why is that changed now? But the generation coming behind me right now, I haven't even felt governance. Not at even local government level, let alone federal level. My generation got a little bit of it. Many of us could travel with just a school ID. We didn't need a visa, just a school ID. We would go to London on bursary. We didn't have these issues. I went to school in America. Yes, I will go and visit my friends at Unilag, at Ife, and all those places. We had chicken. We'll have ice cream, we'll have coffee after lunch. What has gone wrong? It's leadership. Lack of foresight is a big problem. Because you can't have foresight if all you think about is today, and all you think about is your own. Foresight requires you to look ahead and build ahead. You don't build things to be obsolete today. You build them to be available 20 years out there. So a lack of foresight is the biggest problem our leaderships have had to date. How do we hold the cohesiveness of this country together? If our economics had worked, we wouldn't be in the situation we are today. Because we would have begun to forget our divides. We work together collectively. You see my son and his friends, and they have their hairstyles and their dreads and everything. You can't tell which is, and they're from all diversities. You can't tell who is Muslim, Christian, Hausa, Igbo, or in between. Once they are together, you cannot tell. That's what Nigeria should be aiming at. And that's what it is that we hope, with our own fresh and new thought process, we will achieve.
All right, and still on talking about the nation, I like to bring this in. Still again, coming back to your father and his time, he rode on a Muslim ticket. He was Muslim, this vice chancellor, the vice president was a Muslim too. Yes. And today we have a situation that we talk about Muslim Christian ticket, Muslim ticket. It has become an issue with us today.
Right.
Why should that be so?
For me, it's neither here or there. But it's a very distinct circumstance in 1992, 1993, as opposed to what we have to date. We had a Muslim ticket because it was a fait accompli for us. If you remember, it was a process. The transition process, return to civilian rule, was a process. It started with electing the House of Assembly members, governors, and the last bit of it was a presidential election. Now, when we came in, if you recall, sir, we had the first set of primaries with the late General Shehu Yaradua leading the SDP, and Adamu Shiroma, if I'm right, Adamu Shiroma leading the NRC. And if you recall, that was annulled. So we came in later as candidates. At that point in time, the party hierarchy then, the SDP hierarchy, has skewed all the key party posts to other regions. Yaradua was from the north, so they virtually skewed and keyed the presidential seat to the north because both parties were fielding northern candidates. SDP fielded was obviously going to field General Shehu Yaradua. He was going to win that primary, and NRC had Malam Adamu Shuroma. When they annulled that election and we came in, we offset the balance. We came in, and despite all the odds, we won in Jos. Prior to that, the Senate President was from the Middle Belt. The Speaker of the House, I believe, was from the Southwest, and so on and so forth. So the North in itself, what was left and open and available to the North at that point was a presidential seat. So we went into a race of 3 candidates predominantly. MKO, then Turaki Adamawa, Waka Atiku, and our vice presidential candidate, Ambassador Babakingibe. We went into that race and we won the primaries. So the whole balance has been skewed. So by winning the primaries, the North was left out. So we had no actual choice. It was just an expedient political move to have a Muslim running mate. It's not the same scenario here. And I go back to that history so you can understand that it was not necessarily by choice, but it was just an expedient thing to do at that point in time. And we did that, and we won. So you had a Southwest candidate against a Northwest candidate from Kano. We picked a running mate from the Northeast, deliberately so. It was no mistake we went to the Northeast to pick a VP. And there's a bit more detail in between there that I don't think is necessary here because of time. But that's what it was. So it was a fait accompli for us. We did what was politically expedient at that point in time, and we won the election. It's about winning. Now, when going to 2023, the scenarios are not exactly the same. The situation has gone worse. We've become more clannish over the years. Every group has a grievance, and there's so much agitation for balance, for what you call a level playing field. And that when you say a level playing field, that means you want balance, you want your voices to be heard, you need representation, you are aggrieved, and so on and so forth. So that's why you have the scenario you have now. Even then, I remember very well, even when we picked the running Muslim ticket, I had to comb the whole of the Middle Belt, from southern Adamawa to southern Borno, Plateau, what is Gombe Bauchi now, Plateau, and go around all the Ekwa, Kokin, Khan leadership to have them converge in Jos under Solomon La back then to meet MKO and see that this man is not just detribalized, but is a deligiorized, if there's any word like that, Nigeria. And we did well. And not just that, I went also to further have him go campaign in some strategic Christian northern kingdoms to show that, yes, we are going to be there to represent Nigeria because we're Nigerians, first and foremost. And that was very effective. Now, we're in 2023. I'm back in the same zone with my vice presidential candidate, Harrow, and it's familiar territory for me because I've done that 29 years back. And we made it very effective. So it's not like we don't know or we don't do. It's just you read the scenario of the day and you do what is right. So it's not the same, nowhere near the same scenario we have. We're truly fledged. We don't have a transitory democratic process this time. You have a proper democratic process. So you have to be able to consider all grievances in the choices you make. So whether it's Muslim or Christian, I don't think should be the issue. It's the capacity and the balance and what you hear and what you speak and what you appeal to. And that's my view on that.
Kola, I present you with Nigeria of today.
Yes.
And the Nigeria that we have today is about, our divides, our regions, religion, and of course, what has, some people will say, tearing us all apart today, suspicion and all of that. You're coming, with the PRP, a party that was known from its inception as a party for the masses, so to say, and traversing, the nation and presenting yourself to Nigerian people. How have you gotten over, or what, the hurdles to cross about all these, divides and, where we are leanings, and how you'll be able to, tell Nigerians that, we should forget about that in a hurry?
I don't think you should, because anybody who forgets his history will fail his future. But what we are doing here in PRP is we are creating the future of Nigeria. We had a stereotype of PRP for so long as a northern Muslim party. But in all truthfulness, it's just a progressive party, first and foremost. But politically, they chose to stereotype it as a northern Muslim ticket. And if I could take you back to history, we have a lot of firsts in PRP. We were the first party in 1979 to run a presidential ticket with a female Christian from what was Bendel State back then. In 1979, it was Aminu Kano. We have the Chinua Achebes, we have the Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka at some point. We have so many such, so many people in this party. So we have never been that, but we've been stereotyped as that. Furthermore, when I say we're building the political future of Nigeria through PRP, despite that stereotype, I am from the Southwest. I am its presidential candidate. I won the primaries overwhelmingly. I lost only 4 states. And not just that, if I even lose the Southwest, like the election we had earlier in '79, I think it was, the Southwest didn't vote for their candidate. Even if I did, I would have still won the primaries because I had that spread. That's number one. Number two, we have a Southern Cardinal running mate, Christian, in a party that's supposed to be sectorial. A party that's supposed to be northern, a party that's supposed to be Muslim. We're undoubtedly a national party, and we're proved to everybody that's what we are. Not just that, we have, I don't think there's a state we don't have a candidate. I don't think there's a state we don't have a candidate. Whether at the state assembly level, right up to the presidential. So for a party that is supposed to be sectional, we have across the board candidates. That is the progressiveness of this party. And because we're doing things differently, and because we're taking a view that only of us have options, those kind of options to take, we're being seen differently. Our strategy changes on the region, at every region, as we planned it. And those strategies will begin to manifest now to show you that we have more than the reach that you think. But more importantly, and I keep saying it time and time again, we have the youth population, we have youthful candidates, we have youthful state of assembly members, same thing of state escorts, and we are going to help them begin to transition into governance in the right appropriate ways. And that's our goal. And with these things, Nigeria is about to start a very silent but very powerful change in governance. For once, it's not the use X this, X that. His Excellency this, Excellency that. Even when you're not in the two parties, you've left those parties to go and join other parties. We don't have a history of jumping around. We have just what we are. Individuals who have come to a party with a rich history. with a very strong followership, very strong membership, dedication to its principles and ideology, a party that has maintained that ideology till date. And that's where we are, and that's what we have come to do, and that's what we have come to harness. And we will do that by making sure that their voices are heard and their numbers count.
When you talk about the youth, that's your focus, attention is to get the youth behind the party, and that will just bring me straight to mind that we have a party, a Labour Party, which again has its attention and focus on youth, so much so that it's a movement today, and they call it. So, are we making comparisons here about the Labour Party, what it's aiming for, driving at, and what PRP too would want to be seen as a party?
Yeah, there are big differences, very huge differences. The Labour Party is not a party as far as I'm concerned. We are a party of 50 years standing. We are in every local government in this country, 774 local governments. We have a presence, no matter how minute. We have, when 77, we have candidates across this country. We're not just a presidential party candidate. We have the whole spread. That's number one. Number two, what is your definition of youth? We are not strictly, but very much a grassroots party. You have a demographic group of 71%. You have a voter population of 53 registered. Our definition of youth is not just vibrant kids on social media, but is your driver, your mechanic, your meshai, your steward, your nanny, your nurse, your organizer, your mechanic. Can I go on and on and on? They're all in that age bracket, sir. They're all in that age bracket. They're all in that, and that's what we see, and that's what we understand as youth. So we have our own means and ways, and I dare say coming to your FM station is one of those means of reaching that audience. And that's why we consider ourselves to be the king of FM, because we're doing a lot of that to reach that audience. So you see, our definition is a lot wider. And our definition is not just exclusively that, but it includes my age group, your age group, sir. And we're what Harold calls the lost generation, in a way. The 55s, the 65s. Not to ask you how old you are, sir, but that group. The ones ahead of us have eaten into our time. They haven't just eaten into our time. They haven't just eaten into our time. They've also, in many ways, many ways, still trying to take to the ones coming behind us. Right? And they don't understand them. They don't like them, but they still think they can tell them where they should go and how they should live. We understand them somewhat because we have them as children. For that generation, they're probably grandkids to them. Great grandkids, depending on how early you start. They can't understand them, and they still think they can dictate to them. But we are the last hope to bridge that divide and still say, you know what, we can understand you, we feel where you're coming from. I was at the Arawa Constitutive Forum yesterday, where we were invited to, political parties were invited to tell us what we want to do for the North and what we will do for Nigeria, and so forth and so forth. And in that room, that population had no representation. In that room, our women had no representation. In that room, our handicaps and disabled had no representation. That's the future, and they're not even in the room to ask their own questions and make their own case. In that room, we talk about what we want to do for them. It's like my father says, like trying to shave their heads in their absence. So you see, that is these are the things that are missing. We went there yesterday. Instead of us going into a place that we'll be proud of us enough, we go into a place that the rules are changed halfway, and we start playing politics with the whole thing again. So it's you know.
Yes, Kola, come to think of it again, people would say let's be realistic and about Nigeria today, and even as we get ready for 2023. What is showing is that for some public analysts who put it that the parties with the deep pockets would be parties to be recognized. And talking about deep pockets, we'll be talking about people ask for, what will happen to their stomach, and people are putting stomach infrastructure and into all of this. And parties with deep pockets will be able to take care of that. How deep is the PRP with its pockets?
What we have is more how deep is our intellect, how deep is our thought process. We intend to, and we're going to. Harold hates it when I say this. We're going to disrupt this process in a very good way. What he rather me say redeem the process, but me I feel more strongly was disrupting the process. And what do I mean by that, sir? If PRP outspends these two parties 1 million to 1, we still would not win. We will not win if we play the way they play their political game, even if we outspend them. So it's not a money thing in any way. It's an intellectual, and when I said it earlier, it's about a capacity thing. We are going to win this election in ways that they never dreamt of. We are going to apply, even in 1992-93, when I ran my dad's election. We didn't run a conventional election. We came in 2-3 months to primaries to run. We had all the governors against us. All the governors against us. But I beat them. These governors have been whatever you want to call them, choose to call them, for a long time. We beat them at it. If it was left to them, we would never have won the primaries in Jos. And that's because we didn't run it conventionally. And I won't do that again this time around. I've learned a few things in my years from 1979 when I started going around with my father under MPN, being a polling agent for my mom, senatorial candidacy in Abeokuta Central back then, running around this country in 1992-93, fully fashioning strategy, policy, execution of a complete campaign. I've learned a few things. I learned a few things I did differently then than we won. Part of it was also being expedient enough to understand the game to make sure you don't fall into the trap of not picking a Muslim running mate, because we had no choice. And I have learned further things since then that I am going to apply in this election, and you're going to see big differences. We're going to change the narrative totally on how things are done. And it's all about that. We're talking to, and also for us, it's all about voter turnout. It's all about the numbers. We are going to see in this election the highest voter turnout in the history of Nigeria. We like it or not. And for as long as we have that, for as long as you have a scenario where you are ready to come out and vote en masse, if we're ready to have a government that wants and an INEC that's going to play by the rules and play a free, fair process, for as long as you have your VBAS in place, for as long as we start to accommodate the new registered voters, because if you take, for example, a lot of them are students. All the students have been home for eight months. They're just going back to school. This is probably the second longest strike we've had. We've had 16 strikes since 1999 in this country, ASU strikes. So there's something endemic about it that has to be looked at. These kids are going to go back to school now, and I apologize for calling them kids, but our youth are going to go back to school now. What happens on election day? How would they pick up their PVCs? Are they going to be able to change even when they pick up their PVCs, when it comes time to vote, are they going to go back again and vote? Or can they go online and change their polling addresses? It's something very crucial to look at. We looked at the other day. They said for double counting or something like that. They removed 2.7 million cards. What that basically tells me is that many of them couldn't find their cards, and because of that, they went there and they were forced to have to re-register. So all you have to do is just delete the earlier cards and let them still go there and vote. It's a big issue for us because that's the kind of people that need to hold their destinies in their hands and exercise their right to vote. We have scenarios that we need to have an audit, an independent audit of the system. What does IDLEC have? Is the process sound? Convince us it's sound, including the hardware and the software involved. Have an audit, independent audit, and put the parties involved to see that it's transparent enough. These are very fundamental things that we need to put in place, and we need to see happen to be sure that we don't have a repeat of 1992-93. You see, the problem many times is our politicians are so, for lack of a better word, perpetual optimists. They're just looking at the date. We are looking beyond the date. We are looking at the process. We're trying to make sure that everybody has a fair chance to determine the future of this country. So these are things that win election, not necessarily the money you spend or how much money you put to it, or whether you're going to buy vote on election day. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen to at least our own party membership, for sure. We have our means of doing that, and like I said, we have a very ingenious way of running these things from experience, and that experience will come to show on polling day.
I'm going to end this segment by just asking you just as simple as it may come, and that's about this administration, what it promised Nigerians before it came on board. It was simple as we're going to give you security, we're going to make the economy work, we're going to end corruption, and we're going to make employment, available for our young ones. And so it was like El Dorado for Nigerians when we heard that. But again, along the line and along the years, a lot have changed. And so when we hear politicians talk, we begin to wonder, that would this thing work? With the PRP, the People's Redemption Party, the mistakes of the past, how to correct that. And of course, where we would have wanted Nigeria to be today. Can the PRP, as a party, as you are the flag bearer, guarantee us that all these things that did not work at that time would work with when you come on board?
I can assure you that collectively as a party, and that's why we're running a party campaign. We're not running a cult campaign. It's not about Kola campaign. It's about PRP campaign. It's not about Bola Tinubu campaign or Obi campaign or Waziri Adamawa campaign or Kwakwazo's thing. Is about the party first and foremost. And our campaign is policy based. It's based on what we tend to do for not just for our own party members, but for Nigeria as a whole. So it's issue based, and that's what it is. And because of that, we can assure you that we're running it that way because we intend to fulfill those promises, and that way, and have you hold us accountable. Leadership is about being held accountable for what you say you're going to do. Hold us accountable. But we, on our own end, we're committed to achieving what we say we will do. And we will do it. We can afford to do that because we are going in with no baggage. We're going in with no legacy issues. We're going in with no do not touch. The kind of things we want to do in PRP, if we do it in the other parties, we will be sabotaged from within because we are going to be stepping on so many special interests over the years in government. We are going there to have an objective, independent view of things and begin to make the change that is required. The sincerity of purpose is what it's all about. Our loyalty is to Nigeria, its people, not to me, not to the VP, not to the party. We will do what is right for Nigeria first. That way we can debate amongst the party what the best way to go is, not about what is good for the party. So we will definitely hold us accountable. It's all about accountability. And that's what the leadership of the PRP, its presidential candidate, its vice president, all the governors we're putting forward, we know that is what we're going to do. Our campaign is the same anywhere you go. the same doctrines we have, the same policies we have. Our gubernatorial candidates just cascade that down to their states and adapt to their peculiar needs. It's the same principles we work on. And if it's consistently the same, you will see us act at the national, and our governors will be doing exactly the same thing in their states. That's how we intend to govern Nigeria. We will govern by example first. And part of that is demystify the whole thing about leadership and so on and so forth. So we would be very grassroots in our approach, and we are going to be very people oriented in what we do. And you can hold us accountable for that.
The program is Perspectives. It's a special one this Sunday afternoon, and sharing thoughts with us about his party and what the party hopes to do for Nigeria come 2023. Flag bearer of the party, Kola Abiola, with us in the studios. He's the scion of the Abiola dynasty, talking to us about the PRP as a party and what to expect. We'll come back after this break.
Holding it down 100 on Invicta 98.9 FM.
Welcome back. Here's the program Perspectives. This afternoon is a very special one at 8, and we're having with us Kola Abiola, presidential flag bearer of the People's Redemption Party, with us, and we're talking about the PRP as it hopes to come on board come 2023 and what it has for Nigerians. All of this we're getting from its presidential flag bearer. Kola Abiola, I'm asking this question, could be personal and could be along the line of our discussion too, and about the Abiola family. I just like to put this, and see your thoughts about this. Hafsat Abiola Costello, yes. Is in the APC.
No.
Was the,
yeah, she's in the APC.
She's in the APC.
Yeah.
She was the DG of Kogi State Governor,
right.
Presidential Campaign Organization,
right.
during the APC primaries.
Right.
The question, as personal as it is the MKO Abiola's family divided along party lines? No,
we're not. We're just politically rich in our thoughts. Not just that. I have another sister, Risola, Risola, who's part of the youth wing of APC. Prior to that, I had a sister, Lola, who was in another political party. So, we're just rich in our minds politically. There's nothing wrong. Like they say, at times it's not probably the best to all sleep with our heads in the same direction. So that's one. If you remember the popular Hebrew family back then also, all the brothers were in different parties. And they're still the closest brothers I know. So does that make them... otherwise, I guess not a united family, far from that. So it goes to show you how rich we are. It goes to show you that we were brought up to have independent minds, and what you see is what you get.
Well, about time that we have our lines opened, and again on our Facebook page, Invicta 98.9, drop your comments and ask your questions too. I'll be giving out the lines to call to be part of this conversation this afternoon. And numbers to call 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. We're taking your calls now. Kola Abiola with us in the studios. And yes, on our Facebook page, just drop your comments there too. We'll bring all of that to our guests this afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. No, that line not good enough for us.
Hello?
Good afternoon.
I'm hearing you.
Yes, your name and where you calling?
That is Okenwo on the line.
Okenwo.
For the program you are into.
Okenwo, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's get your question.
I have had the Labour Party speaking.
No, not the Labour Party. You're getting it all wrong. Yeah. Not the Labour Party. You're getting it all wrong.
That is Toyin I'm talking about. Hello?
Still with your calls on 081 40,000 989. or 070-87800-989. Hello, good afternoon.
My GM, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Master Kola, you are welcome. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. I'm Kure by name.
Yes, Kure, let's hear
Calling
you.
from Sabon Tesha. Yes, sir.
Let's hear you.
Thank God for me to be first caller, and I keep on telling my GM that if your father is around by now, he will not make that mistake of Muslim, but we appreciate you
Thank
for
you, sir.
telling us what your father have done for this country. I appreciate you. Honestly, I just wake up, I catch you people. All the analysis you have done, I had it. I just want to ask you some few questions, whether you put me through. I did not vote during the time of your father because I was just small. But how did you bring us back? You former days that your father, before God called him to rest, how did you bring us? Because we have been divided in terms of politics, religion, and so on and so forth. Secondly, how did you tackle this issue of insecurity as a civilian? Because that's just my body. Honestly, my father died as a military officer, but today I cannot sleep with my two eyes closed, and I'm being watched under a general. How do you tackle that thing? Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. And sorry, hello?
Yes, Kure.
Hello?
Yes, Kure.
I've not seen any of your offices around me. What happened? Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
All right, Kure, we got you on that. Still with your calls? Hello, good afternoon.
Shall I take that?
Hello, good afternoon, Chief.
Yes. Your name and
good afternoon, Mr. Kola Abiola.
Yes.
Yeah, let me through the line of Kure that just dropped.
Your name, please. Your name?
Elder Dari.
Elder Dari. Okay, Elder Dari.
Yeah, I want to commend your late father for what he has done for this wonderful country. And I pray that you will live to reap what he has sown. Two questions. What do you think to do differently as to bring Nigeria out of this economic doldrum? The burden of borrowing has been over-labored. So what do you intend to do differently? We've been polarized in this country. How do you intend to, bring us together? And the most important one is the aspect of security. What are you going to do differently? So that's nice.
Okay, Elder Dari, got you. One more call and then we'll come back to our guest. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good morning, sir. Toyin Alabi.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon to our guest, dear Kola.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Congratulations to Invita and for giving me this opportunity. I think you are one of the first person as a presidential candidate to come to this studio, and I hope and I believe and I pray that listeners who are listening to this one will massively vote for you.
Thank you, sir.
We know what happened with PRP when Barebe Musa was elected. I think there's going to be surprising in this election by the grace of God.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I want to ask that your father was an industrialist and he believed so much that the development of this country, especially industries. And as I'm speaking to you like this, sir, my company closed, Kaduna Tesla Limited, built by less amount of Sokoto in 2002. And the one built by Zik in 2003, and then 53. And then the one built by Chief Obama in 2054. They were all closed. And these people were the foundation of Nigeria. So what are your party PRP, which all of us have a belief upon, will do if you come to power? Are you going to renovate all these textiles like Kaduna Tesla Limited closed 2002? The same thing Ariwa, not a fantasy. In fact, Kaduna, in short, a lot of industries have closed. We have the refineries off. There's portion of this oil subsidy also, which nobody know. Even the Deputy Governor of Kaduna recently said, if you don't hand over to the private hand, the thing is a failure. So, sir, your father has did a lot to Nigerians. Even with his death, people are still praying that one of his sons like you should become one of the leaders in Nigeria. What are you going to do, sir, to assist us out? Thank you.
All right, Enrique, bro, we got you.
Thank you, sir. I think I will start from the point and the bit about a united Nigeria. Our divide has never been one of religion, never been one of ethnicity. And I say that again, it's never been one of religion or never been one of ethnicity. And the founding fathers at PRP have always gotten it right by saying that it's a, and that's why they've always fought for the common man. Chalakawa, as they call it here in the north, and give that Chalakawa representation. We've always gotten it right from the beginning, and that's why we've always said it's a class issue. It's never been religion, it's never been ethnicity. It's always been a class issue, and that's what that's the founding principles of PRP. It's all about being and having a leadership that you trust and you see as a Nigerian, first and foremost, and everything subsequently. We can't travel around and say I'm a Yoruba man. They'll ask you, who is that? Where are you from? But when I say Nigerian, we get the special attention that we get as being Nigerian. A lot of what we have to do is to put that faith back into our own people at home and see ourselves truly as Nigerian. And to a large extent, it's economic. We've always used that economic to divide us over the years. And when you create that scenario, even systems that helped bring a lot of us out, the early ones, the early older ones in our society, the system that helped bring them out of poverty. Many of our leaders started with humble beginnings, including my own father and including all the older ones that are out there. Many of them started with humble beginnings. They had a good educational system. You had the free education in the Southwest. You had the local government authority schools in the North. And they created a lot of the elite you have today because they gave them sound education. But what have we done? Have we given back to that same system that created the opportunity for the present ones? No, we've killed it. Our university system, the same thing. Our tertiary education, the same thing. The primary school education and secondary school education is the foundations of anything you want to be. It has to be rock solid, because without that, you can't go, you go to the university, but you end up with educated illiterates. Without that, if you don't choose to go to a university, even to go to a vocational school, you must be able to know your numeracy and literacy. Very crucial. But we never gave back to that system. Instead, we let it crumble, and we just created a new class of people. And that's what the problem is. We need leadership. We need strong leadership to redirect. Leadership that represents all of us. That is seen to represent all of us. And that would equally solve the economics. I remember, and I said this yesterday, when MKO was elected president, prices in the markets were dropping. The Naira farmed up on the foreign exchange market because people had faith in government at that point. But yes, we have finally elected our own. We have elected somebody who believes, who knows, and will do it right. It's all about that perception psychologically to make it change. And that also accounts for why you have so many aggrieved people in society and why security is becoming more of a problem. There is a breakdown in the system. There is a lack of accountability in the system. And it's reflective of what we're going through in security. I've always said it, for example, this state, Kaduna, should be the safest state in Nigeria today. You have everything military, paramilitary in Kaduna. You have the Air Force headquarters here. You have the 2 mechanized division here. You have Jaji, you have police academy, you have everything thinkable security in Kaduna State, but yet it's the most volatile state in Nigeria today. I remember I did during my service corps days in Zaria. They had a massive riot. I couldn't understand where it was coming from. And we're surrounded by all the security apparatus and all this huge presence of paramilitary. Why have things disintegrated that bad? And I now went that same year on the Emirate tour with the Emirate tour with the late Emir of Zauzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris. And I went with him on that Emirate tour, and we went to different communities. Every group comes with his grievance. He would arbitrate their differences. He would come up with suggestions. He will settle them. He will write to the governor. This is what we did. This is what the issues raised. This is how we sorted it out. But you still need to do X, Y, Z in that neighborhood to have lasting peace. Today, I'm not sure they can do that again, because if they do that, they get kidnapped. We know many emirs that have been kidnapped. And that's because things have gone very wrong. So what we will do is we're looking at community, we call it community services, where we take a group and put them together, and we can monitor movements in each community. We will strengthen the police, we will strengthen the army, we will call in our ex-policemen for an accelerated training program. The same thing with the military, to help them catch up on the lag. So we call in ex-ones to come and help with the training, so we can accelerate the training process and cut the lead time. This, also, we will hold accountability at the highest orders, starting from the presidential, from the commander-in-chief. You don't meet your targets, you'll have some accountability. You have to be accountable. Also, I said this the other day and somebody misunderstood me. I was incarcerated for 4 months for something I didn't do during the political era, during the Abacha times. I was moved from different prisons, and one of them was in a barracks. And I saw how the police not just lived, but how they treated themselves. Now, if they treat themselves that well, how well do you expect to treat you and I? How well? So the issue of welfare, and we have a police force of barely under 400. Why can't we adequately take care, fund, and provide adequate welfare for all our servicemen? It's not a huge number. It's not a huge number. So these are all things that we will look at. These are make sure their pensions are taken care of so they can commit themselves. We will give them insurance to their families while they serve, in addition to the pensions they will collect. And there's so many things we have outlined that if I have to start going there through them one by one, we'll be here all day. So we've looked at that security bit. There has to be calm. And also what we would equally do is, as a party, we will speak to every aggrieved party. Be it IPOB, be it whoever, we will speak to you. But once in a sacrosanct, we all have to agree we're a united country. We are set up by God for a purpose. We have sacrificed for that one country as a family with MKO. We're committed to, and we will continue to sacrifice for that one country as Nigeria, because we believe in the united Nigeria. And for as long as we're doing that, there can be a compromise on that bit. But we will listen to all the aggrieved to hopefully come with solutions to sort out our security issues. On the issue of debt, I said this in Abuja a few weeks ago. There is really nothing wrong with debt. Let us understand that. There's no country, there's no company that gets anywhere far without some level of debt. The important bit is, what do you do with that debt? How do you cost that debt? What projects do you use those monies for? Have they been spec'd right? And are they going to be able to do them on time? Now, if you look at it as an economic multiplier, you'll have to take on that. The U.S. is the largest debtor in the world. They can do that because they print their own money, and we all spend their money. They will never pay back that debt. But there's confidence in that system. And that's why it's probably it is the largest economy to date. It's all about debt. But if you have a project that you spec right, you scope right. When I say scope right, scope the need. We need to have a 20 track side by side from Lagos to Sokoto. Scope it in a way that we can afford to do them in different stages. That's what I mean by scope. Spec. Do we go back to building a rail system that is archaic, or we're doing a rail system today that is fast enough so you can walk in Abuja and live in Kaduna? Right? Are we speculative enough to also anticipate the growth from the traffic because of that ease and that speed? Right? Are we costing it right? If it cost $1 billion to do, let it be $1 billion. Now, if you get the first two right, and $1 billion project is spec'd at 200 billion, no matter how good that project is a failure, because economically it will never be viable. That's what we're talking about. There's nothing wrong, but what if those three things are met? The multiplier effect on the economy and the growth of the economy, and the solution it gives you to cut the cost of production, the startup cost, and so on and so forth, is enormous. You will help vibrantly and indirectly begin to bring more people into the net. And if you do that, that multiplier effect will change the lives of this country and the revenues of this country. So these are things I can just hit very lightly. On the subsidy side of things, at least there's a discussion going on. Who gains from this? Who are the winners from this? The supply side or the demand side? It has to be addressed. The imbalances have to be addressed. If you have a subsidy and still within Abuja or within Kaduna for that matter, you still have areas that are selling at 240 as opposed to, I think it's 176 now. But, so who's, like my father would say, who got the slap? Who is complaining about the pain? There's just realities that we need to focus on and deal with, and look at the fact that when you start, when the sum of the crude exported there's a deficit against the subsidy of the crude of the products that you're supposed to be ordinarily refining at home and importing them, then you have a mega problem. It's a discussion that has to be held, you like it or not. And the guys that just have narrowed it down to benefit from it at the expense of everybody else, I don't know for how long it will continue. Thank you.
All right. Still can take some few calls, and still on 081 40,000 989. 081 40,000 989. Right, I'll take this call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to our guest.
Yes.
My name is Mike Baba from Rome.
Okay, Mike Baba, let's hear you.
This we say good people die, but death can never change their name. So may the soul of Saint Abiola rest in peace.
Amen.
Honestly, I don't have much to say, but I still want to hammer on this question. With the scenario surrounding this country now, what is the thought of your guest in respect of this Muslim ticket. What has it to say?
Well, Mike, we touched on that. That was handled earlier in the program. Well, thank you for calling in. We'll still take more calls. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Joshua.
Joshua.
I want to appreciate our guest of honor today. I want to say I so much appreciate what he said. But my question is this: how will he? We're looking at the economic presently now, based on his manifestos. How will he be able to, work up the economic? Because look at what is happening in the country today. Our economic is seriously bad. So how will he generate money? In what way will he generate money in order to, to boost the economic, make the economic more better than as it played before?
All right.
So that one of the questions I wanted him to look at, because he's talking about a lot of, bringing a lot of things to the country, but looking at the present in Nigeria, the economic now is very bad. And how will he generate money? Where will he get money from in order to, to boost the economy?
Okay, Joshua, we got you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Joshua. It's really very simple. If you look at your numbers and you look at where the fat is, you will know that we are spending a lot of money and funds in the wrong places. We need to, excuse me, at least really reflate as much as we can the economy. We have means of indirectly putting some monies back in the hands of every Nigerian. We've looked at the possibilities, but more importantly, we have a scenario where we will look at our taxes. It will be progressive and it will be very, very fair. That is one thing we can do, and we will be very, not just that, but we'll be prudent in the way we spend Nigeria's money. We have looked at the budgets over the years. We have looked at what we want to do, how we're going to achieve them, or how we're going to fund them. We have actually gone through a complete exercise with our policy people. We have mirrored our objectives on our manifesto, and we know exactly how we're going to fund this. We've put the math together. We've put the numbers together. We know where those monies will come. And like I said, we're not. There's growth in debt. It just has to be applied right. And we have looked at it from the short-term, immediate impact. We have looked at the long-term, and we looked at the medium-term and the long-term. Our goal in PRP, in governance, is to be sure that we're in the top 10 industrial, vibrant economies by the next 20 years, and we have a perfect blueprint to achieving that. And we're going to harness our talent. We're going to harness what we have in our youth. We're going to harness what we have in our infrastructure, and improve on some basic schemes that are not even presently available to date. So we're not necessarily going to reinvent the wheel. What we're going to do is try to figure out in each different section, do we want to use a tire with a tube, or we can afford to have a tubeless tire, or as you have in many cars today, have a run flat in your tire. Each policy we adopt is looked at from that perspective. Each policy is mapped accordingly to what we perceive as where the growth and where we are on those policies as a country, and we will put round pegs in round holes. Now, another thing we have for us as a party, because we haven't been in governance in the center before, we have the luxury of picking from the best brains across board in Nigeria. We have the luxury of picking the best brains, not necessarily from PRP, from across the divide and anywhere, both domestically and in diaspora. That's the beauty we have, and as a party that is coming new to the center. Thank you.
Well, let's just get this from our Facebook page. Morpheus, what's coming out there?
Okay, so we have excuse me, Jonathan Dauda says keep up the good work, sir, and Gibson Sanda G. Gideon says, good afternoon, Mr. Toyin Alabi and your guest in the PRP. My question is to the guest. Given the insecurity prevailing in Nigeria, which is conspicuously as a result of marginalization and ostracization to others from those that held the seat of power till date, the misgovernance and the level of corruption allegations that has been let go with impunity encapsulate the pragmatic measures in the leadership, if elected, that will mitigate or resolve the problem scopes mentioned above. Trying to understand the message as well.
I think there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that also I've addressed.
Yes, a lot of it.
The bottom line is that it's accountability. It's all about having leadership that's accountable. We will speak to all aggrieved groups and parties. We are open to, provided the unity of Nigeria is not a question. It's not on the table. We will also go the extra mile to not just let charity begin at home. We will start the accountability from the leadership itself.
Well, earlier I talked about structures, having structures all around, and Kuri did mention in this question that where he resides is not in PRP office or all of that.
Yeah, so you see, unfortunately, we don't have the. We have, but they're not on your what the English call the main road. We have offices everywhere. I've been around this country to different party offices, where we're a party of the people. So many a times, it's self-funded by membership. We're probably the only party in this country that had a convention where every delegate paid for his way to and fro to the venue, paid for his education, paid for his meals. We're probably the only party that has ever done that in Nigeria. So many a times our party offices are donations from members. So they're not necessarily the glossy things you will see in other parties. They're not necessarily. They could be a kiosk. I've seen that before. When I come, we rent chairs, we have canopies, and we hold our meetings, and we go. They pay their way to those meetings. They contribute and actually rent the chairs. If they don't, they put mats on the floor. We sit down and we do what we have to do. That is the kind of party we are. And when I came in also to this party, I came in as an outsider, yes, but one of the biggest critics I got was that you're not out in everybody's face. You're not out in billboards. You're not out and you're not making enough noise. But the truth of the matter is that I'm an outsider. I've come into a party that has a pedigree of 45 years. I've come into a party that the loyalists are and their principles are very ingrained. If I come in as a supposed Lagos boy and start making a lot of noise, when they already think I'm here to take over their party.
But the reality of Nigeria, does it make...
No. You have to win your followership first. You don't go... We're not a party that didn't have a followership. All those other parties you're talking about never had a followership to start with. We have a genuine base. We have a strong, genuine base of loyalists. So you have to approach them first and show that, look, you have come to serve them first. You have to go to them and leave and let them see that you're one of them. And that's what I did. That's what I did in being able to get this far in this party. Even when it came to picking the running mate, I insisted I wanted a party member to be the running mate. Architect Harrow used to be the Assistant National Secretary of the party. I didn't go and look for somebody outside of the party to be my running mate. I insisted it had to be a party member, and that's how we have done. And we're in sync with our people. We're one with our party, and it's a deliberate move and understanding of. I didn't, and I keep saying it. I didn't just look for a flag of convenience. I didn't leave one party. I started dancing around other parties to look for a flag to carry. I deliberately did my homework. I did my research, and I deliberately came to PRP. It was no mistake. I had done the homework. I'd looked at the numbers. I've figured out, okay, you know what? There's only one other party to go to for this, and I went in there early enough. After I came, all these other names you talk about came shopping in the party. leaving their own entities and trying to get into this party. One even went as far as trying to get his running mate from my own party. So what can I tell you? So I must have done something right to have been in this party in the first place. It's no mistake. It was thorough homework. So that's what it is. Thank you.
All right. Again, this is, of course, looking ahead, and things happen. They do get to happen, and you're not talking about, merging, or you're not talking about joining forces with other parties of like minds, in the future to say you could come up with a common front. You're looking at that in any way?
Every party is registered, but is INEC. Every party presently has candidates registered with INEC. We are too far in the game now to not try to go it alone. At the appropriate time, if there's a need for that, then we can look at it. But this is not the time for that. So I think you're too way ahead of your time, so to speak, if that's anything like that.
All right. He's also said
so
that.
So we're in this to deliver to our constituents, and as far as we're concerned, we're the party to join or the party to beat.
All right. Well, again, you can agree with me on this, but big names again make parties. And when I talk about big names, I'm looking at the former chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Jiga, of the PRP, but we've not heard, not seen him playing, the kind of role.
No. I think that's a misgiven. You see, it goes back to whether you make. Like my father will say, right? You get into the market, and you start, yeah, everybody will take off. They will panic. You create panic, and they don't know what's going on. But when you start saying yeah, they start dancing to it. It's how you make your noise. Understand that, sir? It's how you make your noise. The guy is he's head of our reconciliation committee as we speak right now. He's the chairman of the Kebbi State gubernatorial race committee. His party is a PCC member in my race. Oh yeah, he's very, very active. Like I said, it's how you scream your yeah and how effective your yeah is. Do you scream your yeah to scare everybody away, or you scream your yeah to everybody dance to your music? So that is significantly what PRP is all about.
Kola Abiola.
We make the impact. That's
Can we get your last line here?
My last line is a very simple one. I think Nigeria at 62 has come so far, and everything about Nigeria is threatened to date. What Nigeria needs is a fresh take on governance in this country and stop recycling leadership. What Nigeria needs is people who will take it now and try to correct and do it differently. It needs fresh, untainted people. You have that in PRP, you have that in Kola Abiola, you have that in Architect Haro Zigo. We have a fresh mandate to take this party national and go to the center and make that difference. We are bringing a clean party, clean thoughts, for us to begin to determine the future of Nigeria. We represent that future. We hope to usher in that future with our candidacy and give back hope to a united Nigeria. That's what we're all about. We are ready to sacrifice. We have sacrificed in the past. We were ready to sacrifice again for Nigeria to make it whole and make sure that our kids have a country to call home and be proud of. And they should be able to roam around anywhere in this country and feel at home. I think we can do that. I think we're the only party out there who can do that. And we're true Nigerians. So I think this is the difference we make. We have proven records. We have done it in the past. We can do it again now. And I believe we will achieve it.
Thank you very much. We thank you for coming on the program with us this afternoon.
Thank you. Pleasure being here, sir.
Thank you. And that will just be the size of it on Perspectives this afternoon. A special edition with Kola Abiola, the scion of the Abiola dynasty. sharing thoughts with us about the PRP and what it hopes to bring for Nigerians as we look forward to 2023. We also like to thank the presidential candidate who is with us, and of course the entourage that came with Chief Kola Abiola. We thank you all for being part of this program.
We have the DG here,
yes,
and
the DG is here, and of course
Suleiman.
Okay, Suleiman Mohammed, thank you.
Abdullah, Prince Abdullah.
Prince Abdullah, we also thank you all for making it to our studios this afternoon.
You want to say what?
Yes, architect Harold Zigo, I got the name there. Thank you all, for coming on to the program this afternoon. I'd like to thank my colleague too, who's been part of it, Ango Bali, thank you. And my colleague, Morpheus Idoko, for connecting us with the people. We thank you, Wisdom, for putting us in the pictures this afternoon. We'll come back with perspectives tomorrow. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can't stop a baby from teething at 5:30 in the morning, but we can give you the best music in the Treasure Valley.
Wow.
That's music, baby.
I like that.
It's 98.9 FM.